Hidden in the forests of the Eifel region, embedded in volcanic earth, created by the hand of man, lies the most legendary and dangerous racetrack in the world, the Nürburgring Nordschleife. For 80 years, knights in leather and linen armor on mounts of steel have battled here for honor, trophies, and the fastest time. 20.83 kilometers long, 73 corners, and 290-meter altitude difference. Horsepower junkies make pilgrimages here like Muslims to Mecca. In this playground for men, success is still the result of genuine and honest hard work, a German legend. But far in the east, in the land of office-bound worker bees and console culture, the Nissanoids are arming themselves to attack the German racing establishment. On foreign soil, they snatch at the crown of sports car construction, the record time on the Nürburgring Nordschleife. Their weapon, the new Nissan GT-R. April 2009, and Nissan's head tester, Toshio Suzuki, puts in an extraordinary time of 7 minutes 27 in the 2010 model of the GTR. The Porsche GT2 took 6 seconds longer, leaving the company quaking. Now our Tamagotchi-playing friends from Japan think they want to challenge us over lap times on the Nordschleife. The Nissan GTR is supposed to have driven a 7 minute 27 lap. Godzilla or Tamagotchi? We'll find out today. The comparison, 2 twin turbos, one a flat engine, the other a V6. How will the Nissan GT-R perform against its arch-rival Porsche Turbo? It moves off well at the start. We're going to floor this machine. Fit for the Nordschleife, before the first lap, the Japanese car gets a going over by Nürburgring specialists from RSR. We've arrived at RSR, who are really only a stone's throw away from the Nordschleife, and whose help I need now. Hi, Patrick. What car are you bringing to the Eifel, then? This is the new Nissan GT-R, and it needs to be made fit for the Nordschleife. Tires, suspension, so that it goes really well. We can do that. The guys are ready. Great. Let's get up on the platform and get those torque wrenches spinning. Together with Dunlop, Nissan has developed new tires for the GT-R, tested on the Nordschleife, of course. Not even the oil has been left to chance by the engineers. A synthetic lubricant ensures lower friction. The question of optimum grip is solved with semi-slicks. Once they're warmed up enough, they almost weld the Nissan to the tarmac. And even the engine electronics get a Nordschleife setup. Nissan GT-R. We were so desperate for this car that we couldn't wait until Nissan gave us one. Thank you very much, Paytech, for giving us this one. I promise I'll look after it. We've put semi-slicks on it, filled it up with fresh oil, and now the race mode is just being set up. Does it work? Now let's see what we can do on the Nordschleife. I'm really excited. Supercars, Nissan and records all go together. The predecessors to the GT-R answered to the name of Skyline and had up to 500 horsepower. Idolized in Japan and the USA, they're unfortunately not available in Germany, but the new one is. And it has impressive features: four-wheel drive, transaxle double clutch. The most modern technology tames the beast, a V6 twin turbo with 485 horsepower. Now let's hand over to Patrick Kamizaki Simon. The first meters in the Nissan aren't bad. The car is really as stiff as a board on the track. A little bit of understeer going into the slow corners. We'll have to be careful about that. You can feel it being shifted.
In die langsamen Ecken rein. Oh, ein bisschen untersteuern. Da muss man Acht geben. Da merkt man einfach, wie die Masse dann am Schieben ist.
At 1,750 kilos, the Japanese car is no lightweight. Steering has good transmission, nice and direct. All you have to do is steer in and bam, it's round the corner. There's a load change, but even so, if you keep the thrust up, it's stable. Keep the thrust up? No problem. From 3,200 revs, the engine room reports full steam ahead. Full power, thanks to 588 Newton meters of torque. Acceleration in this car is like taking off from an aircraft carrier, not only because the energy just powers through without any interruption of traction, but sound too. It's like a turbine, there's such pull. What's missing is some of that feeling of, oh, here comes the force, because it's actually very even. At the top end, around 6,500, then it thins out a bit and you need to change gear. But that's no problem. The 6-position double-clutching gearbox sits on the rear axle. This method of construction is what the professionals call transaxle. The power is brought onto the road by the intelligent four-wheel drive system, Atesa, which transfers up to 50% to the front axle when necessary. It's a little bit stupid that the gear switch is attached to the steering wheel. The DSG gearbox allows you to brake late into the corner and change down when you're still steering. And with this switch standing on the steering wheel, I'd like to change down now, but I have to take my hand off so that I can change gear. I'd prefer switches which go with the steering wheel. If you look at the competition, Porsche, Ferrari, Lamborghini, they all have round, feminine shapes, but this thing is angular, compact, attack. Off you go.
Kantig, kompakt, ja, Attacke, los geht's. Das ist, schaut's euch an.
Let's have a look. A request for the ladies, please go and paint your nails or iron a shirt. Leave the men alone for a minute, you won't like what's coming next anyway. The Nissan GT-R is the Y chromosome in sports car DNA. Beauty and grace are crossed out in the GT-R dictionary. This lump of metal is as feminine as a wife-beater shirt over a beer belly. Wide hoods, wide mud flaps, perforated Brembo brakes with internal ventilation. And a spoiler that's big enough to set up a bar on. 0 to 100 in 3.6 seconds, top speed 314. And saving the best for last, this supercar costs just 81,000 euros. Here's the Wipperman. The curb is on the right. The car absorbs that wonderfully in terms of suspension thanks to Bilstein shocks. Then quickly into the anchor. It's very easy to get the right amount of braking. You have good feedback. The ABS regulates it very sensitively. It's not rough, it's very delicate, very sensitive, even if you brake in surges. So even if the car is bouncing a lot, you have a very delicate setup for the ABS. In the carousel, you're accelerated through regardless of whether you're driving the Nissan or Porsche, but otherwise it's very calm and very easy to drive. Pflanzgarten now, the car takes off for a moment, then bam, you're completely relaxed. You just sit here and drive. Not quite as easily as going for Sunday brunch, but pretty relaxed. You don't have this immense stress factor that you're fighting and cranking and working and everything for every lap on the Nordschleife. It's easy to handle. It's a bit like this interior style, a bit PlayStation-like. You don't feel like you're on the Nordschleife going for a lap time of well under 8 minutes. Nevertheless, kids should keep their hands off this Japanese missile and stick to abusing their joy pads. Sports seats in leather are standard on the Japanese sports car. If you order the premium edition, there's also a Bose sound system. The cost with all extras, 85,200 euros. The GT-R is honest, sporty and simply straightforward, no style icon. Our US import is well finished, the ambience is cool and the materials used are almost premium. The real eye-catcher in the cockpit is an enormous onboard computer in the center console. 300 settings are available, an electronic cluster for PlayStation junkies. What's really amazing is that you can see everything here on your display. You can switch here, then you can see the G-force, how much braking pressure you're giving in percent, how heavily you're on the gas. It's very PlayStation-y. If you wanted to control all of this, you'd never actually manage to drive. It's fun, but you need a passenger to take care of all of those things for you. Incidentally, the data can easily be analyzed at home on the computer. But back to the Nordschleife. Can the new GT-R manage a lap time under 7 minutes 30? I have to say, quite honestly, 7 minutes 27, if driven by a complete professional with no children, no family to worry about, maybe. Besides, competition is getting tight up there. Porsche is at the top and has been for more than 6 decades. The Porsche formula, rear-wheel drive and flat engine power. In 1974, 5 magic letters appeared on the back of the 911 for the first time. Turbo. Simple, pithy, self-confident. The Porsche supercar was born. "35 years and 200 more horsepower later, the current 997 Turbo relies on 4-wheel drive for safety reasons. 480 horsepower up to 680 Newton-meters of torque. The Turbo is the alpha male on the motorway. Let's see what the top dog has to offer. The first thing you notice about the Nissan is how stiff the suspension is. In the Turbo, into the first corner, down into Hatzenbach, and it's as if there's a kangaroo juice in the tank. There isn't, is there? It's very soft. It's a Turbo. Better take a GT3 or a GT2. Okay, but the Nissan's challenge was quite clearly to the 911 Turbo. The engine is old style. It's always nice to see how relaxed the power deployment is now in a Porsche, and the power is actually there, up to 6,000 revs.
Entspannt mittlerweile die Leistungsentfaltung bei so einem Turbomotor sein kann aus dem Hause Porsche, und Leistung ist eigentlich da, ich sag mal, bis 6.000.
Afterwards, it drops a bit. You can feel that there's not so much thrust anymore, but until 6,000 revs, it really powers forwards. Between 2,000 and 5,000 revs, the turbocharger with variable turbine geometry coaxes full torque out of the 3.6-litre flat engine. After 12.5 seconds, the Turbo breaks the 200-kilometer mark and reaches its physical limits at 310. It's not a DSG gearbox, and we didn't want a Tiptronic either. We've got a typical Porsche and a simple, precise manual gearbox. 6 gears, and it's still a lot of fun, and I have to say I just enjoyed it. I've never known DSG in such a powerful car before, and you can brake coming into a lot of corners and then just pull easily on the switch twice and it changes gear. We have to do that all by hand here. The Turbo can reach 100 kilometers per hour in 3.9 seconds, or even 0.2 of a second faster with Tiptronic. In comparison with the Nissan, everything here is very clean, very tidy. In the Nissan, it's very playful. There are more buttons on the steering wheel than the Porsche has on its entire dashboard. These are 2 different worlds. The Porsche Turbo is an ambassador of the pure style of sports car. The Porsche driver studies classic dials, turns the Alcantara steering wheel and prefers to change gears manually. In comparison with the Nissan, time seems to have stood still. Where the Porsche is significantly stronger is steering. Onto the brakes, change down, steer into the corner. The Nissan has strong understeer, but the 911 is significantly more stable. Both have sports tires, so it can't be put down to the level of grip in the tires. There's a lot more mechanical grip here than in the Nissan. You can definitely feel that the Porsche is lighter, especially when braking. It's almost 160 kilos, but you always reckon up on the brakes, at least when it comes down to weight, and there the Porsche is just stronger. Every Porsche model is born on the Nordschleife. The engineers have decades of experience here, and that pays off. But at a price of 60,000 euros more than the Nissan GT-R, it's more than steep. Of course, the question is whether a Porsche Turbo like this is worth 60,000 euros more, even in the configuration that we're driving here with all these accessories. And when you look at the price of the Nissan, you can quite soberly say, I could get two Nissans for the price of one Porsche Turbo. I could take one in black and one in silver. Well, Patrick, not an easy decision. But which is faster? A showdown on the Döttinger Höhe. "21 kilometers around the Nürburgring Nordschleife in a Porsche Turbo and Nissan GT-R is definitely pretty cool, but not to everyone's taste. The Nordschleife is very special. Straight ahead goes up to the Döttinger Höhe, and the whole thing is just under 2 kilometers, and that's where we'll find out, a drag race between the two. Moves off pretty well at the start. We're going to floor this machine. 180, 190. Hello?
180, 190. Hello?
Now the turbo's kicking in. 200. All right. 200, 230. It's outracing me. Christ almighty. As far as the bridge, maybe we can get a bit more. Brilliant start, but then at the top from 200, the turbo is just mighty. Dear God. The Nissan has knocked me for 6. They don't just play Tamagotchi, they also know how to do things seriously. The Nissan is stiff as a board on the Nordschleife, no bounce, nothing. Sensational and completely easy to drive. Okay, we'd probably have to turn off the water at Porsche headquarters to make them forget how to put real power in a car. It has real force behind it. It's just a shame that it wasn't enough for the lap time. Why do they always have to be building on the Nürburgring when I drive here? I'd love to know what the stopwatch would say.